11.3.8 Dhatu papallava asanne vyaktam dravya gunatmakam anadi nidanaha kalo hi avyakta ya pakarshati. So all of you remember which section is going on? Yeah. So these are the questions which were asked by Nimi Maharaj to Navyogendras, and we are discussing answer to third question. What was the third question? This is answer to third question. No. No. So this was he wanted to know about the illusory energy of the Lord. So then we had started discussion on this. This is about the illusory energy of the Lord. So when the annihilation of the material elements is imminent, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in its form of eternal time, withdraws the manifest cosmos consisting of gross and subtle features, and the entire universe vanishes into non-manifestation. In the third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapil Dev teaches that the material nature originally exists in an inert state of equilibrium called pradhana. When the Lord Vishnu cast his potent glass in the form of kala or time, material interactions take place, culminating in the variegated creation of the material cosmos. In this verse, it is stated that at the end of the universal time, the same kala that originally incited the female nature into manifestation again withdraws the cosmos into its original state of inert non-manifestation. According to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the time potency itself is then withdrawn and it merges into the Supreme Soul, who manifests himself as the original cause of material nature. Anade Radir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Such technical arrangements for creation and annihilation, birth and death do not exist in the eternal kingdom of God. In the spiritual sky, the variegated spiritual enjoyment of the Lord and his devotees is not hampered by the inferior cycle of birth, maintenance, and destruction found in the material world. So, in the material world, here he is mentioning that how this material creation comes into existence. So, there is a non manifested inert material nature which is by the name Pradhan. And when the Lord glances and gives the time potency, then the interaction starts happening and the creation of material universe takes place. And same material universe at the end, what happens? Again, the time potency withdraws himself and the whole material cosmos again withdraws himself and becomes a non-manifested state, that is Pradhana. So in the material world, we see time has both cause also and effect also. So we see that how time is the cause of everything and time has an effect also, we can see. But in the spiritual world, time is there, but the effect of time is not there. So that's why Prabhupada says the spiritual world, the time is present, but it is not present also. Why? Because the effect of the time is not there. Here we see that because of time, things they keep on changing. Everywhere we see there is a movement. Movement means time. Wherever we see there is activity. Activity means time. Wherever we see there is a change. Change means time. But in the spiritual world, we see that the effect of time is not there. So here it is mentioned that in the material world, there are causes like birth and death. Then there are creation, maintenance, annihilation. But the spiritual enjoyment, we see that that is not hampered by the inferior cycle of birth, maintenance, and destruction. So living entity originally being in the spiritual world enjoys with Krishna. But being Tatastha, the living entity when is captured by one of the energies of the Lord, it becomes very difficult for him to think otherwise. And there is one pastime which His Holiness Indradum Swami Maharaj was mentioning that Once in the spiritual world, Balram told all the Gopas that please don't go to that side, don't cross this area and don't go to that side. So, and then after saying so, Balramji went to some other place. And all the Gopas, because they were told not to go, so they thought, Arey, what is so special? Why we should not go? So they thought, we should go. So they went to that place. And after going for a distance, then they thought, oh, Balramji had told us, no, better we go back. He'll come back and he'll be angry at us. So then they come back. And then Balramji comes back. And then they say that actually you had told us not to go, but we went there. But why you wanted us not to go there? So then Balramji told, you don't know, the people who stay that side, they don't remember Krishna. And all the Gopas, they say, what? How that is possible? All the Gopas, their reaction was a kind of a shock. How someone can stay without remembering Krishna? Like that. Same way, when we hear that the people in the spiritual world always remember Krishna, we get a shock. How that is possible? How someone can be 24 by 7 Krishna conscious? Very difficult. So we see being tatastha, it becomes difficult for us to understand. In a conditioned stage, when we are hampered by six anarthas, when we are hampered by conditioned nature, sometimes we hear about raga, we hear about higher stages of asakti, bhav, prem. Sometimes they appear very theoretical, sometimes they appear that do they exist or they do not exist, like that. Why? Because we are being captured by the external energy of the Lord. So that is why for a conditioned living entity, more than his own experience, he has to have faith on the words of Guru Sadhu Shastra. Because his experience is limited to the material experience which he has being in the conditioned nature. Like suppose there is a living entity who is deep within the ocean. Now someone from outside the ocean gives a rope to the living entity who is deep within the ocean. And from outside, the person is telling that please take this rope and try to climb using this rope, and soon you will come on the surface and you will find no water, you will find land. The living entity is now climbing, but he finds there is still water is there, so much water is there. This fellow is telling that a place will come where there will be no water. Is it possible, or he just is speaking like that? I'm doing my best of efforts. From last 10 years I have climbed but still I see water around. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse where Krishna says, one has to tolerate lusty feelings till end of life. Someone may say, Arey, now also lusty feelings are coming. Someone may say, now also the material conditionings are coming. Why? Because currently we are in this world. Prabhupada says material world is so horrible, even a person can fall down from Bhava platform. Someone like Bharat Maharaj who is crying, is into tears, but then still a material energy can trap him. So we see that how both energies are very powerful. A living entity being tatastha is prone to become succumb to one of these energies. So when a living entity is in this material world, it becomes very difficult for him to fathom about spiritual reality. And we see that how amazing the creation of the Lord is. And this material world also is so active. So many things people have to do in this material world. And people, they get so many aspirations, so many desires, so many things around, so much identification people they do. And you see practically people how much they are busy being in the material world. And especially in Kali Yuga, now we see that because of internet, people are busy here also, and they are seeing other people who are busy somewhere in some other corner of the world also, and they take inspiration from that person who is so materially busy. That yes, I also want to be like that. Like that. And very unfortunate, we see most of the people, when it comes to spiritual life, they will cite their career, they will give these kind of excuses, uh, family, and I have to take care of parents. And most of the people you will find, when they take out time for all these aspirations, they are trapped by their anarthas. In train or anywhere you travel, most of the people are watching, either movies or cricket or some dirty stuff. No one is opening book and preparing for EPSC. No one in train will find someone who is doing some research. You'll not find, because material energy is so powerful. But unfortunately, when it comes to practicing spiritual life, then the material mind cites these kind of excuses. So this material energy is very powerful, and from point of view of Krishna, we see it is very insignificant. See, Krishna creates, and he does not involves himself also, neither in the creation, nor in the maintenance, nor in the destruction. He expands himself into Purusha Avatara, and then through Purusha Avatara, he manages. And in that also, we see the aspect of creation and the annihilation is done by Sambhu Tattva and Jeev Tattva. So he hardly involves himself in the matter of the cosmic material manifestation. So as far as Krishna is concerned, it is insignificant. Like Rupa says, for a government, jail is insignificant aspect where he will put attention to. But for a living entity, it appears as if this is the main thing for him. For a living entity, so much plans and everything he makes. And because of this Avranatmika Sakti, the covering potency of the material energy, the aspect of the time, the way time is changing everything, that gets covered over. We see big people, they come and they strive for name, fame, prestige. When we hear this history, many times we laugh, no? Why this fellow killed his brother for post? Or many times we feel, why this fellow for some money revealed some secrets to the Britishers, and because of which our Indian king was defeated. Or why this fellow gave up to that particular woman for lust, and then this particular king lost the battle. When we see the history, we find that all these people, they how much they lose for their material aspirations or for their material ambitions, and how much they work hard for their material ambitions. But now we see, where are they? When they go and leave this world, they will be counted on the basis of how much they adhere to Guru Sadhu Shastra. Someone may fake whole world. Someone may become a president also, or he may be the top person. But the moment he leaves his body, no control. And now he'll be hold responsible for what all he has done. And as per Guru and Sadhu and Shastra, then he'll be given a further destination, the punishment. But we see, being in the material world, a person becomes so much carried away by these material vibrations, material aspects of material world. And he forgets to see that there is so much to me. I am not this body who is only for one lifetime. I am eternal soul and I have eternal journey. But we see that when we see people around having more name, people around having more fame, even in spiritual society, we see sometime a person may get a thought, I should also have these many followers. I should also have this much post. I should also have these many disciples. But the moment you leave the body, then what you did actually, Krishna knows. What you are actually, Krishna knows. And accordingly, will be taken over. But we see that material mind somehow makes one very absorbed in these pursuits. Very rare to find a person in the material world who has a consciousness like a lotus, who is there in the material world but not getting affected by the material world. Very, very difficult. Because the whole environment and surroundings are like that. And time and again we interact with those surroundings. Time and again we interact with those vibrations. So naturally we get prone to be affected by them. So that is why material world, for those who are very serious sadhakas, it is a very dangerous place. That's why in the Vedic time we find those who are serious sadhakas, they become very alarmed seeing the material world. And that's why they are very careful while walking and being in the material world. We see in the Vedic time how the sadhus, they would try to live a very simple life They would try to live a very detached life. They would try to live a very austere life, so that the material vibrations don't affect them, so that the material aspects of the material life does not torture them. Still, we find these sadhus who are going alone in the forest and practicing such extreme austerities. And still, we find some apsara being sent by Indra and then they are falling down. We see rishis like Swabari going deep within the water to practice so that there are no distractions for him at that time. Now, also, when we go to some holy places which are very remote, we don't find any distraction. Sometimes our devotees they say, "Prabhuji, बिल्कुल development नहीं हुआ यहाँ पर." But he also, when he went down and then he saw two faces meeting, then he fell down. So then, what to say of all of us who cannot live a austere life, who cannot be very simple, who cannot be away into the forest? We have to be in the cities and we have to be surrounded by all the gadgets and we have to be living a comfortable life. And then also we are hoping that we will make progress and go back to Godhead. So that is why we see that actually we all are mercy case. There is no other way for us to make advancement than aspiring for mercy of devotees and Krishna. That's why Prabhupada in his purports highlights more this aspect for all of us. Secret of success depends on the pleasure of the spiritual master. In the Vedic time, it was okay. Nadmuni did not told Dhru Maharaj, Yasya prasada bhagavad prasad. He told you do tapasya. Because he had that caliber, not eating once in 9 days, drinking water once in 12 days, breathing. And to such an extent that the whole material cosmos became one with Dhru Maharaj. He was not breathing, the air was not flowing in the whole material cosmos. Even the demigods, they became helpless seeing his austerities. Demigods, the demigod of air, Vayu, he became perplexed. How come, someone else is controlling than me? And then we see that Lord Vishnu told them that one of my devotees is doing good sadhana. So I have to go. Like that. Now, in comparison to all of them, what is our austerity? What is our sadhana? What is our practice? What is our simplicity? They will laugh if they see our practices. If someone tells them that they are devotees and they eat poha in the morning and they eat this all in the afternoon and they sleep for 6 hours and they travel in sometimes ACs. They use all the gadgets. They are up to date. They remain in touch with all the aspects of material energy, and they are aspiring for going back to God. They will laugh how this can happen. See, the moment you say, I want to be under shelter of spiritual energy, then it should be visibly seen that you are coming out of material energy, is it not? But we are a case where we say that, Prabhu, we are so fallen, we cannot be away from material energy. At the same time, you want to aspire for spiritual energy. So that's why we need a lot of mercy where being surrounded by material energy, we purify our consciousness so that we can engage that in the service of the Lord and not getting affected. Otherwise, we see even in a spiritual organization, although we are devotees, but then people get affected. And then we find it's very difficult to make progress. Although we have a very amazing golden opportunity, seeing our situation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has kindly, very mercifully given the holy names of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made everything very simple. Otherwise, there is no hope for a living entity to go back to Godhead. But then still, if a person is not valuing what Mahaprabhu has given, a person is not praying for what Mahaprabhu has given, he is not striving to what Mahaprabhu has given, then although he has such a blessed opportunity, but then he'll not be able to make progress. In Bhagavatam, there is one verse which says that how by every day, by setting of a sun, one day is lost. And like that, each day is going and is getting reduced from our life. And if we don't try to remember Krishna, if we don't try to chant the holy names of the Lord, then we are losing that vital one day. And unfortunately, we don't have much time in Kali Yuga. And whatever small time we have in Kali Yuga, that also is very uncertain. Suddenly, what comes to our body, we don't know. Bodies are so weak in Kali Yuga. Suddenly, what will happen to us, we don't know. At the moment some pain happens to the body, first thing will happen is our spiritual life will become more loose. We'll have a lot of difficulty to practice spiritual life. So actually, whatever time we have when our bodies are healthy, that is the only time we have to remember Krishna. And if we can remember Krishna during this time, then there is a hope that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy will come. Otherwise, it is very difficult. And material mind, time and again, will force us to think about material things. Time and again will make material things appear very big. Time and again will make material things as very tangible. But if we try to remember Krishna, then that is a success. As per Bhagavatam, if a day goes where we tried our best to remember Krishna, then that day is not a waste. Then that day is added to our eternal life. But if a day goes where we could not remember Krishna, then that day is waste. We have lost that day. And already the way we have to sleep 6 hours and plus 1 or 2 here and there. 8 hours we have to sleep, 2 hours we have to eat and take bath. 2 hours goes in figuring out whether it was Prajalpa or not Prajalpa. And 2 hours goes in making mind comfortable to do something. Is it not? If you see our efficiency is very less, because if you actually chalk out 24 hours what we did, our efficiency is very less. So already time is less, and in that also it is very uncertain. In that also our efficiency is so poor, and then but our aspirations are very high, and that only is possible if we try our best whatever time we have. If we take this time as very seriously to practice a spiritual life. Otherwise, material things will never end. We see from time immemorial. Sometimes, actually, when we read histories, then we get to know and see how much people they actually strived. Most of the histories will find two families fighting. He's making allies, and somehow he want to topple that family. He worked very hard, and sometimes the moment he becomes a king, he dies. There are many histories like that. And sometimes there are people who whole life he maintained that aspiration, I want to be king, and he could not become king, but he destroyed all the kings. Like that. Unfortunately, how much karma he would have incurred in the whole process. Because this body we take so seriously, we forget the journey of the soul. But we have to know, and sometimes the demands of the body become so overpowering in terms of eating, in terms of sleeping, in terms of lusty thoughts, in terms of responding to egoistic situations, or in terms of becoming angry, and we forget that I'm not this body, I'm soul. And soul can become only happy by being in touch with Krishna. Soul can become happy only by being in touch with the spirit. There is no other way. So because of getting so much consumed by the demands of the body, needs of the body, it becomes difficult for us to think about the soul, which we are. So if we read the scriptures, and if we try to contemplate on these things, that how being a soul, this is a very rare opportunity for me during Mahaprabhu's time. And this life, especially for all of us, the way we are blessed that we are given this opportunity when we are at prime of our youth. This may not happen again, and we don't know again what situation will come. Now you see in Bangladesh, our ISKCON devotees, now because their some government situation has changed. So all the Muslim people, they are killing Hindus. Now someone, even if he wants to practice spirituality, is very difficult. I was just thinking, if someone is like Haridas Thakur, then he does not have fear. If you cut my body into pieces, each piece will chant. Now, someone who is like us, who is a sadhaka, he needs more time to practice more. And if he is in a situation like this, then very difficult for him, is it not? So sometimes the kind of situation we have received, we don't value it. Being born in India, that too somehow or other being in UP, and wherever we go, so easily we get Ganges water, Yamuna water, so many holy places, and traveling to Mayapur, traveling to Vrindavan. One devotee had come to Mayapur Yatra, and he came after 24 years. She was telling, Prabhu, what it is to be in Mayapur, like that he was telling. And I was feeling, so he wanted some place to go. I told, Chakra building is there. Behind that you can go. So I told, Prabhu, where is Chakra building? बोला, अरे आप पहली बार आए हो क्या? Then he told 24 years after that I'm coming. Because I go generally 4 or 5 times in a year. So I was feeling how he does not know Chakra building. Sometimes we don't realize our fortune. Suppose if you are born in some foreign country, so difficult to come. 1,50,000 ticket only. And then you have to spend so much money being here. Very difficult. 22 hours of flight travel, like that. If you are born in Bangladesh, then all Muslim people, they will be killing now. But we are in a situation where somehow or other we came in a time where Sanatan culture is prominent, Mahaprabhu's mercy is prominent, all dhams are getting manifested. And Baldev Prabhu was telling that even our devotees who came before us, they also could not see so many dhams as we are seeing. Because most of these dhams, they were unmanifested. And Nityananda Prabhu told that for 400 years, Ganges will cover all the dhams. And after 400 years, again all dhams will reappear. So we came after this period where all dhams are reappearing. Many of the places we go, they are discovered now. If he had come before Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then we would have gone to Koladip to be the birthplace of Lord Nimai. But because Bhaktivinoda Thakur came and we came later, so we came here. Otherwise, Nandanacharya's place, Advaita Acharya's place, Srivasangan, Yog Peeth, everything would be there only. Like that. So we are very fortunate that we came. Even in ISKCON, if you would have come during Prabhupada time, how many of us would be ready to surrender our life the way was needed at that time? None of the Indians did. Prabhupada, he went to Jhansi, he went to Agra, Vrindavan, Delhi. He met, some people got attracted, but then no one was ready to surrender his life, and that was the need at that time. So even if we were there at that time, we also would have told, no, Prabhuji, Prabhupada ji, itna zyada nahi kar payenge. But we came at a time when we feel very proud. 800 centers है. ये हम लोगों ने तो कुछ किया नहीं. इतने सारे डिवोटीज है. ये भी चैंटिंग करता है, वो भी चैंटिंग करता है. So now we know कि जाएंगे तो प्रसाद मिल जाएगा, रूम मिल जाएगा. So now a lot of comfort is there. So we have to accept that our coming to spiritual life is not only because of our desire to be devotees, but it is mixed with such a favorable environment created by Prabhupada and Prabhupada disciples, and also by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just imagine if the process was very difficult. Suppose you attend device, and then after chanting session, it is revealed to you that we have to eat 1 carrot a day, and we have to perform these austerities. And how many of you would have shifted to voice? None of you, is it not? Even I would not be here. Very difficult. So we have to know that actually we are mercy case, and so much mercy is given to us. But we have to think about that mercy, that what all Prabhupada did, what all Acharyas did, what all Prabhupada disciples did. Most of the places Prabhupada wanted to create best of the facilities, knowing well that people like us will come, who have only one service to complain. So Prabhupada was knowing this. So that's why we see now best of the facilities. We get to eat nice of the prasad. When we read Lilamrit, we hear past times devotees eating khichdi only. Devotees not having ghee enough to put on chapatis. And devotees sacrificing like anything. And devotees not caring of their health also. Western devotees staying in tent houses. Western devotees going for a passing stool in the ground. And rats and mosquitoes all over. Very difficult. In Yatra, we got to stay for a few days in Gauranga Kutir. Still, it was quite better compared to what Prabhupada disciples had to go through. So you have to know that we are blessed by mercy of Prabhupada, by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Acharyas, and we have to not take advantage of this mercy. And only way to take advantage of this mercy is by chanting the holy names of the Lord and by trying to be Krishna conscious as much as possible, not allowing our mind to get distracted by so much demands of the body. We can take care of the body because we need a certain way for our body also taking care. But at the same time, we have to know that this life I have to use for the need of the soul. So many lives we have passed through. Every life same concerns come: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Every life same concern come. ये ले गया, वो ले गया. Every life same concerns. उसको ये मिल गया, मुझको ये नहीं मिला. Every life same concern. मैं भी कुछ बड़ा होना चाहता हूँ. If you would have born during Nimai Pandit time, then we would be wanting to become scholars. If you would have been born during Kamsa time, you would be wanting to become a wrestler. Right? Every time, some or other. And now some of us may want to become engineer or going to West, like that. So we see that these things will never end. Material nature will keep changing, and those changing aspects will keep attracting us. But soul has a need to get attracted, and material nature can attract a soul but cannot satisfy. So soul has a need to get attracted, so he has to find out the real place to get attracted. So that real place is real person is Krishna. So when we get attracted to Krishna, then that only is a hope. Otherwise, till then we suffer like anything. And karma is so complex. When you try to go deep into this, it's very complex. Many times now, some devotees who have very extreme case, and we refer to astrologer or someone, then you find such complex history they have. In the past life, they have done this, and because of which, certain things. So one thing I could see that most of the people, they have done some sin in their past life. So that proves that someone who is not a devotee of the Lord cannot be free from the sin. And we see in Kali Yuga practically everyone who has taken birth. So sometime you'll go to the astrologer, they will say, oh, inka ye acha hai, but you'll not find any chart which does not have but. So इनका ये सब ठीक है लेकिन इनका ये weak रहेगा, इनका ये कमजोर रहेगा. Like that. So most of the people in Kali Yuga you find stomach problem, health problem, mind problem, relationship problem. This age also is like that, and our karma also is like that. So if we tend to get affected by all these things, then we'll not have time for Krishna. So you have to take care of these things, what is in our hand. At the same time, beyond that, we have to see the need of the soul that let me remember Krishna. Let me be Krishna conscious. And if we can do so, then we have done our part, and that is what we are hoping for. And then we can depend on the mercy of the Lord. But if we are not doing our part, then depending on the mercy of the Lord, provided already so much mercy is given, then naturally how Krishna will give mercy. So we have to see that how we can be more remembering Krishna. Then that much will be blessed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have come at the best time with best situation. Now we have to just take advantage of this. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.